Hi everyone, I hope you all must have seen the previous videos about the tropical evergreen deciduous on thorn forest. Now we'll continue the series with the montane forest. So as the name suggests, montane forest means these are the forests which are found on the mountains, on the top of mountains. Here we'll come across two types of words. Please pay attention. As it's given here, one is the northern mountain forest, then the southern mountain forest, and this is one of the category. This shows like the forests which are found in the northern areas of Indian subcontinent, and south means which are found in the southern areas of Indian subcontinent. This is the first category. The second category is the northern slope and the southern slope. When we say the northern slope and southern slope, it is not talking about the north and south India particularly. It's talking about the slopes. So let's say if this is a mountain, the slope on that side will be the northern slope, and this will count as the southern slope, right? So basically the trans Himalayan ranges like Karakoram, Ladakh, all of them, they form the northern slopes of mountain. And otherwise, the rest of them will be called the southern slope of mountains. I hope it's clear to you. So now the characteristics of the montane forest. Firstly, mountain forests are in mountain, and I don't think UPSC is going to ask about all this, but the characteristics are important. Now, basically, what happens is that I told you in the first class itself that this shows the latitudinal difference. As you move from the latitude from equator towards the pole, the temperature will decrease, right? And similarly, in case of the mountains, when I talk about the latitude, as you go up in height, the temperature will decrease, right? So there is an altitudinal decrease in temperature. This is the latitudinal decrease in temperature, right? So now, as it's given here, that because the temperature is decreasing with the increasing altitude, it also leads to the change in natural vegetation. Because we have already discussed that the vegetation types, the climate, they are going to decide the type of forest. So what is the condition of the climate? Basically, climate is a long term average, but what is happening, mostly you'll find the temperature is less when you move up, right? So that's how there is a change in natural vegetation also. Now the mountain forest can be classified into two types, the northern mountain forest and the southern mountain forest. Now what happens is that the Himalayan ranges, they show a succession of vegetation from the tropical, what happened, just to wait 1 minute, from the tropical to tundra. When the term comes tundra, you can remember it. Tundra means thanda. Tundra thanda, right? So here the temperature will be less. So change in vegetation from tropical to tundra means that here the temperature is more, here the temperature is less. So the vegetation will be like, let this, if this is the mountain, here you will find mostly the tropical vegetation, right? Tropical vegetation means those types of vegetations which you will find in the tropical areas, because the temperature is comparatively more here. As you move up, you will find the tundra vegetation. That means that the vegetation you will find in the tundra areas of latitude, right? Because the latitudinal decrease in temperature is the same with the altitudinal decrease in temperature, so the vegetation will also change. Now, in the foothills of Himalayas, you will find the deciduous forest. Remember, so if these are the Himalayas, in the foothills, you will find these are the deciduous type of forest, right? Now, as you move up, we will find wet temperate type of forests, right? Wet temperate. Now, what is happening? The temperature is decreasing with the increase in latitude. That's why the vegetation will change. In the foothills, there are the deciduous type of vegetation, right? Deciduous forest. As you move up, we find the wet temperate type of forest. What is the altitude? The altitude is 1000 to 2000 meter. Remember it. Foothills, deciduous. Above 1000 to 2000, what type of forest? They are wet temperate forest. Okay. Now, the example is given that in the northeast India, hilly areas of West Bengal and Uttaranchal. In these higher hill ranges, here in northeast India, like let me show you here. In northeast India, here, as it's given, these are the montane forests. These all are the montane forests, right? Here we have the montane forests. So in these higher hill ranges, we'll find the montane type of forest, right? Montane type of forest. Now, what are the characteristic of trees there? The trees have evergreen broad leaf, right? So the leaves are broad and they show the characteristics of evergreen type. So these are evergreen broad leaf trees. Broad leaf trees. Examples are given: oak and chestnut. Oak and chestnut. What are the category? Evergreen broadleaf trees, oak and chestnut, right? Now we are moving further, right? Now the ranges of 1500 to 1750 meters, right? 1500 to 1750 meters, the pine forests are well developed. You will say, just now I said that 1000 to 2000 is wet temperate type of forest, right? So there are various types of ranges. Among there, only between 1500 to 1750 meters, we have the pine forests which are well developed in this zone, and the most useful, or say commercially useful, here is the cheer pine. And we have read earlier that in several places the oak vegetation was replaced by the pine vegetation because the British wanted to lay the railway lines, right? So the forests were replaced for the commercial use, right? Then comes the example of deodar. It's a very important endemic species which grows mostly in the western part of Himalayan ranges. Mostly in the western part of Himalayan ranges, because it has, why is it so important? Because it has a durable wood and it is used mostly in the construction activity. It is also found in the western part of Himalayan range. Then we have another example like chinar and walnut. Walnut, you must have read in the GI tags also that it sustains the famous Kashmir handicrafts. Kashmir handicrafts. Kashmir handicrafts. This also belongs to this zone. What we have read? Deodar, chinar and walnut. All of them in the western range of Himalayas. Then we have another example. If you move further up, imagine that you are also walking up, right? So between this height of approximately 2225 to 3048 meters, we have blue pine and spruce. Blue pine and spruce. You can look at their pictures in on internet, but like as you can see here, I have shown the type of vegetation which you'll find in the mountain areas. These are the vegetations. You can imagine. So blue pine and spruce are found at this altitude. In many places here in this zone, temperate grasslands are also found. What kind of grassland? Temperate grasslands, like you'll find in several European countries which belongs to the higher latitude zone. So the temperate grasslands are found, but in higher reaches, like here, in higher reaches. So let's imagine that till here you have found the temperate grasslands, because lot of tribal communities also belong to this zone, for because they find the pastures here, they find the pasture ground here, right, for their cattle. Now as you move up, the transition is to the alpine forest. As you can see here, the transition is to the alpine forest and pastures. So here you will find silver firs, junipers, pines, birch, rhododendrons. There are questions about these also. They occur at height of 3000 to 4000 meter. Generally UPSC asks us questions. It just gives the nature of characteristics and asks what kind of maybe the trees or what kind of forests are found here. So at the height of 3000 to 4000 meters, where there is a transition to the alpine forest, silver firs, junipers, pines, birch, rhododendrons. I'm repeating it again and again so that you remember, right? But these pastures are extensively used for transhumans. As I said, the tribes are using it, like the Gujars. And if I just zoom it a bit, you can see that I have also highlighted it, and I have like added the places where they are found. Like Gujars are found in Jammu Kashmir, Bakarwals are found in Jammu Kashmir, Bhotiyas are found in Uttarakhand, and Gaddis are found in Himachal Pradesh. Right? These are the tribes. The southern slopes of Himalayas. Now the southern slope, I have already explained what is it. It carries a thicker vegetation. This is important, that in the southern slope we have a thicker vegetation cover. Why thicker vegetation? Because it is getting relatively higher precipitation than the drier north facing Himalayas. Because the Himalayas, they trap the moisture here in this part. That's why the southern slope is having the thicker vegetation, right? Compared to the northern part. Because of what is the reason? So UPSC can give the question, the statement wise question, that the southern slope of Himalayas have relatively less vegetation than the northern slope. Is it correct? No, the statement is not correct. The southern slope has thicker vegetation because of higher precipitation than the drier north facing slopes. Now as you are at the top of altitude, at higher altitude, just like you move up to the latitude, what do we find? We find the mosses and lichens. Similarly, at high altitude also we find the mosses and lichens, right? They form the part of tundra vegetation. So it's like, the latitudinal difference, that the when you are at near equator, at the tropics, the vegetation is tropical vegetation. As you're moving toward the poles, the vegetation is changing. Maybe you'll find dense forest here, maybe the vegetation you find here is different, right? Similarly, as you move up the height, same kind of variation in vegetation is seen. So as you can see here, and I've also marked here that the northern slope of Himalayas have the trans-Himalayan ranges like Karakoram and Tibetan Plateau, and the northernmost range being the Karakoram, which extends into Pakistan and China, and it has high peaks and larger glaciers. And the southern slopes of Himalayas, for example Shivaliks, they have thick vegetation because of higher rainfall. How they are getting high rainfall? Of course from the southwest monsoon winds, right? And the northern slopes are comparatively drier. Now what after that? After that we will also understand about the southern part of vegetation, because this all is the northern and southern slope of the north vegetation, because here we have the northern mountain forest. Now we'll study a bit about the southern mountain forest also. So like I have the picture, this is about these types of forest you will not find in the southern part. This is the northern part, right? Now this is the southern mountain forest, like this. If anyone of you lives in south or maybe Bangalore and all, like I'm living in Bangalore, you must have visited these types of forests for sure. So these are called the sholas in Western Ghats, right? So the southern mountain forests, they include forests which are found in three distinct areas of peninsular India. One, the Western Ghats; second, the Vindhyas; and third, the Nilgiris, right? Western Ghats, Vindhyas, and Nilgiris, right? You can remember it as WNV, WNV, Western Ghats, Nilgiri, and Vindhyas. Now, see, they are more closer to the tropics. Yeah, they are more closer to the tropic because the southern part lies in the tropical zone, and they are only 1500 meter above the sea level. Because just now we read in the northern mountain forest, they can be up to height of 3000, 4000, or even more up, but their height is only 1500 meter above the sea level. So vegetation is temperate in the higher regions. You will not find the tundra vegetation. In the higher region, the vegetation is temperate only. Maximum it can go to temperate vegetation. And in the lower region, they have the subtropical type of vegetation. For example, in kind of, in the northern forest, we just read that in the foothills, you find the deciduous forest, right? But here in the foothills, what kind of vegetation you have? We have the subtropical vegetation. And as you move up, the maximum they can have is the temperate vegetation, right? Now, the example is Western Ghats, like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. Now, the name is given that the temperate forests, these temperate type of forests, they are called sholas in Nilgiris. Nilgiris are in Tamil Nadu, right? Sholas in Nilgiris and Anayamalai and Palani Hills. In these areas, they are called sholas. So, like I have given, these are called sholas. The way they look, they are called sholas. They are the temperate vegetation, right? These temperate forests are called sholas, where in Nilgiris, Animali and Palani Hills, right? Here also you'll find some forests or the trees of these forests which are economically very important. The example is given: magnolia, laurel, cinchona, wattle. Okay, magnolia, laurel, cinchona, wattle. Right? How I remember it? It's like CM, sorry, I just forgot. CMLW, CMLW. Right? Remember it this way: CMLW. Right? CMLW, and there is one more way. The way you remember BMW, you remember CMW, just one L. Like BMW, remember CMW, just with an L. So C for cinchona, magnolia, wattle, laurel. Right? These forests are also found in the Satpura and Maikal ranges. Right? Satpura and Maikal ranges in the central part of India and some part in the western Deccan. So I hope it's clear to you. Next video will cover the littoral and swamp forest. Thank you.